is a mix effects bus, or ME? Well, it's like having a full production switcher inside of the switcher, and this TriCaster has 8 of them, making it one of the most advanced switchers available today. In this video, we will cover setting up the MEs as an effect and as mixers. We will cover using the ME layers, using the ME keyers, setting up virtual sets including multiple camera angles, and we'll talk about re-entry with the MEs. Let's go ahead and get started. The MEs can be hidden or displayed using this control on the user interface. The setup area for each of the MEs is found by accessing these tabs. In the TriCaster menu, you have options for Tabs Follow Preview for MEs. With this item checked, any ME that you select on the preview bus, either on the main user interface or on the control surface, will also select the tab and display the setup area for that ME. The ME tabs are following preview. This can be quite handy during setup. There's also a menu item to have Tabs Follow All Delegates. This has to do with the control surface. This option is only visible when a control surface is attached. There are buttons here on the CS to delegate which of the MEs you are adjusting. If Tabs Follow All Delegates is on, then any delegate selected here on the control surface will open the corresponding tab in the user interface. This works if you delegate media players too. This is a great way to always know which ME you are adjusting and that you're adjusting the right one. Notice the ME control area has a colored border with a different color for each ME. This is to make it easier to distinguish it from the main production switcher below. By default, an ME is set up as a mixer and it looks identical to the main production switcher. Always remember the main switcher is below the ME controls when they are visible. There are a variety of effects possible with live mat and MEs. Remember, you can show and hide the ME controls using this button on the main UI. Let's make them visible and take a look at setting up some effects. Select the tab for ME1. Place ME1 on Preview and Program. An ME can be used 2 ways, as a mixer or as an effect. This is selected with the MEs tab here at the end of the switcher row. Using the ME as a mixer allows a second independent video mix to be produced and either sent out its own output or re-entered back into the TriCaster as an overlay source or as a source used within another ME. We will look at this later in this video, but let's go ahead and set up ME1 as an effect. Click on the Effect button for ME1 here. As a default, it is set up as a basic A over B key, or a 2-layer effect. The keyed talent is on A, and the background is on B. Choose a keyed green screen input as A. If you don't have a live input, you can use the green screen clips supplied with the TriCaster in the DDR and use the DDR as the live input. Then use live mat on the DDR to key it and use it for the source for layer A. There are clips for left, right, and center seated camera angles, as well as standing and medium shots for all the types of virtual sets the TriCaster comes with. Choose any input of the TriCaster as your backdrop on layer B. Live input, DDR, video playback, still image, or graphics. Even key live talent over web pages or presentations coming in from an external computer using a network input as the background. Now you can use the positioner on layer A to scale and position whatever is coming in on that input. In this case, it is our talent. You can scale, position, and rotate the layer using these controls. Using the magnifying glass icon, you can left-click and drag on it to scale the input size. You can rotate using this control. Clicking on the icon rotates on all axes at once, but you can use these controls to rotate on a single axis. Then use the cross-haired arrows icon to position it anywhere on the screen. You can also click and drag on the individual axes. By default, Keep Aspect Ratio is turned on for the Scale tool because if you scale on one axis only, you distort the image. Keep Aspect can be turned off by clicking on the blue box. There's also a Reset button to undo any changes you've made within the positioner. You can also reset individual variables by holding the Shift key down and clicking on the numbers in the UI for that variable. This will reset that single variable back to its default value. Whenever a positioner is being used, you can see an indicator light next to the positioner launch icon letting you know it's in use. All these adjustments can also be made from the control surface. Select the emmy you wish to modify. In this case, emmy 1. The layer of the emmy is selected here, and there can be up to 4 of them depending upon the effect. There are only 2 physical rows of buttons, but they can be used to modify up to 4 layers. This row can be layer A or C. This row can be layer B or D. Select layer A. This row can now be used to select the source for the A layer. The B layer will select the source for the background. The positioner area of the CS is located here. You can select any layer of the currently delegated ME shown here. You can also select any of its 4 keyers. Select keyer 1. You can delegate any of the main switcher DSKs here or set the positioner up as a virtual zoom control or a DDR shuttle control. Then you have the modifier keys to select which attribute of the selected item will be adjusted. Let's open Graphics 2 and load the NewTek logo with transparency or alpha channel. Go to the ME1 key delegate and select keyer 1. Since ME1 is the currently selected ME, this will select keyer 1 in ME1. Now use this row of the CS to select Graphics 2. This set up the source for keyer 1 in ME1 as Graphics 2. To do this from the interface, you would use this pop-up menu on keyer 1 in ME1. There is no row of buttons on the main user interface to do this like there is on the CS. So now, to make the keyer visible, you can take or auto the keyer. Take cuts it on the screen, and auto uses a transition to hide or reveal it. Take and auto buttons appear under each keyer on the UI, and you have the same controls here on the control surface. Hit auto for keyer 1 and the graphic overlay fades on. Now select Position Scale on the positioner on the control surface. Twisting the joystick scales the graphic, and moving the joystick positions it. These controls are available in the interface by clicking on this button. This is the positioner button, and you will find one attached to every keyer, DSK, and layer of an ME. The Reset button in the user interface controls resets everything in the positioner, including scale and rotation. But the Reset button on the control surface only resets the currently selected modifier. To reset everything from the control surface, you will have to reset each modifier separately. Each ME has 4 keyers attached to it. These are overlay channels that only appear on that ME. This means you can set up an effect with overlays and access it like any other input on the switcher. You can bring up the keyer and easily select and modify it. Of course, you can do this with the ME on preview during a live show to set it all up before switching to it. While on preview, with another channel selected on program, layer A can be selected and you can adjust the talent. Once the shot is composed to your liking, you can transition or cut to it on the main switcher. The emmys can also be used to create other layered effects or virtual environments using the included virtual sets and effects that come with the TriCaster. Let's go to Emmy 2 on Program and Preview. Make the Emmy an effect. To load an effect, click on the plus in the upper right corner of the current effect name, which by default is Layer 2. Here, you can see there are 3 and 4 layer effects available in the default category. They work the same way as the 2-layer effect, just with more layers to use. This is also where you find the advanced tracker. We will cover this a little bit later. Let's start with a single person behind a desk from multiple camera angles. Each camera angle is set up with a separate effect in a separate ME. We will start with the center shot. Load the Demo Studio Center Live Set. This is a 2-layer effect. Layer A will be the talent. Layer B will be what is on the virtual monitor in the virtual set. Select the input with the keyed talent on it for Layer A. Select DDR2 on Layer B on the main user interface. Go to DDR2 and load the balloon clip. It shows up in the virtual monitor. This can also be done from the control surface. Select ME2 as the ME delegate. Select B on the bottom row of the ME switcher. Now this row will select what is on the virtual monitor. Hit loop and play on DDR2. Now the video moves on the virtual monitor. You also have audio output coming from this DDR as the balloon clip has audio on it. You can control the audio of a clip by clicking on the speaker icon in the lower right corner of the clip. This will reveal a slider allowing you to adjust the audio output level of that clip in the DDR. Slide it all the way to the bottom to mute the clip. This is a great way to normalize audio from clips in a DDR. This is covered in the audio mixer section in more detail. Being able to zoom the virtual camera in a virtual set adds a level of realism to the set. This can be done a few ways. Notice on the top of the main user interface in the ME setup area, there is a T-bar. Above it are 2 buttons. Zoom is selected. Keep it that way. Grabbing the T-bar with the mouse cursor and dragging it will cause a zoom to happen. This can also be done from the control surface using the physical ME T-bar. But this zoom technique is limited as you don't have control over the zoom target. It just zooms in and out right on the center of the frame. Select Live Set Zoom in the positioner area of the control surface. Again, because ME2 is the currently selected ME delegate, you are now controlling the virtual zoom for whatever is in ME2. Twisting the joystick will zoom in and out. Once zoomed in, you can move the joystick to pan the camera. This can even be done in one fluid motion if you get really good at it. The easiest way to zoom in and around a set is by using camera presets. To the left of the T-bar, you can see a picture icon. Click on it to open the presets panel. This reveals the presets. Click on any of them and the camera travels to that position. You can control the speed of the zoom here, picking a preset speed, or by typing in a custom speed. The default preset speeds are 20 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, or a cut. You also have access to the presets on the control surface here. The Animate Zoom button, if turned off, sets the transition speed to cut. Now there is no motion or animation of the camera when you're going from preset to preset. Turning this back on now respects the speed settings and the camera moves between the presets. The speed can also be adjusted using this rate knob on the control surface. Notice you can click on one preset to start the move, and before it completes, click on another preset and it will start heading to the new area. This allows for some cool looking motion paths for the camera. You can adjust the presets and create your own camera positions as well, even while you're live. This can be done on preview only if another channel besides the ME you are working on is on program out. If you're not live, you can set it up on program out and see the actual results in real time before the live production starts. Now mouse over the picture icon, but don't click on it. A gear appears in the upper right corner. Click on the gear to open the Effect Preset Editor. The interface is simple. Along the bottom are the presets. Above them is a preview of the effect. Click on Preset 2. The preset preview window snaps to that preset instantly. Move the mouse over the preset window and use the mouse wheel to zoom in. You can also zoom using the right mouse button and push the mouse. Once zoomed in, you can now left-click and drag to a new position. In the lower left corner, you will see a button labeled Preview. Turn it on, and the ME will transition to the preset as you click on them in the editor. If the ME you are working on is on program out, you will see the results on program out. If any other channel of the switcher is on program out, but the ME you are working on is on preview, you only see the preview of the effect in the preview monitor. To close the editor, use the Close button in the lower right of the editor window. To set up another camera angle, you need another ME. Go to ME3 on Preview and Program. Make it an effect. Now, load up the Demo Studio Right.live set. This is the same set, but from a different angle, but it functions in exactly the same way. You will need a camera shot of the talent from the same angle to match the set. There are examples of green screen shots showing all possible angles. If you go to DDR1 and click the plus button to load a clip, or just double-click in the DDR's clip bin, under Clips in the New Text session, you will find green screen clips shot from different angles. You can load them into the DDR and use the DDR as the talent source to get a feel for what you will need in a live shoot. Load the Kiki 1 Right clip. Turn on Live Mat. Use DDR1 as layer A in ME3. Now you can see the alternate camera angle and all zooming functions the same way as the center shot. With 2 or 3 live camera angles for use within virtual sets, you can create an awesome multi-camera shoot with a virtual environment. It can be useful to have one source follow another between different MEs. For instance, you may have on-screen monitors on multiple virtual sets that you want to be consistent from shot to shot. Layers in any ME can be color grouped. This is set up here. If we set layer B of ME3 to the green group, and then set layer B of ME2 to the green group, any change to either of those layers will happen in both MEs, since we are making changes to the group, not just the layer. Some virtual sets have more than just 2 layers. The MEs can handle up to 4 layers, and so can the sets in this TriCaster. Let's take a look at the Metropolis set. This is a little different than any of the other sets in the system. It is the newest set and has the most capabilities. Go to ME4 on Preview and Program. Make ME4 an effect. Load the Metropolis A Center Live set. This virtual set can support up to 4 live inputs. We are using 3 of these inputs for live talent. Those are layers A, B, and C. Layer D is used to run all of the background graphics. Let's set those up. Go to DDR2 and load up the Metropolis News Quad clip. Play it and loop it. Now, set layer D in ME4 to DDR2. If the ME is not currently set up, you may have unwanted content in the set. To remove any unwanted inputs in the talent shots on the left and right sides of the set, set up sets layers B and C to use an unused network input. This is basically a transparent input if it's not in use. If network inputs are in use, here's a tip to get a clean set. Go to Graphics 2 and click the plus button to load a file. Go to Titles and go to New Tech. Choose this title, which has only one small line of text in it. Now, to configure it, click on the gear. Click on the text to highlight it. Now hit the Delete key to remove the text and hit Enter. You've now made a completely transparent graphic. Right-click on that graphic and select Send to ME for Buffer. This will put the transparent graphic in the ME's frame buffer. Frame buffer usage will be covered in detail later on. Now select the frame buffer of the ME as the source for B and C layers, and the sides of the set are completely empty. Because it is using an image from the frame buffer, the original graphic can be deleted from the graphics player, and this does not affect the frame buffer at all. This is a great technique for using this set if you only have one camera for the center shot and no other talent for the other shots. Notice the background screens are now filled with the ticker and it's moving. All this video is coming from one clip. Put DDR2 on preview. As you can see here, the quad video has different videos in the corners, and they're being mapped into the correct areas of the set. Also notice there's a ticker crawl going through the center. You can use this clip as a guide. Take it into an editor or After Effects and make your own quad render clip with your video screens and your text for the ticker. Let's look at the three inputs we will use to populate this set with talent. First, there's a shot of me for the seated center shot. Then, I have both Kiki and Rex as full standing shots, but notice they're shot horizontally. The camera to shoot these was tilted 90 degrees on the tripod. This allows the camera to be closer to the talent and still get a full head-to-toe shot. It also provides better resolution as the sides of the shot don't have to be cropped out as they would be if you were shooting this in standard camera orientation. First, let's start with the center shot. We will use the input of me for the center shot, which in my session is input 1. This will go into layer A of the set. This shot needs to be scaled to fit the desk. This can be done using the positioner on the interface here or from the control surface. Make sure ME4 is delegated and select layer A on the positioner. Select Position and Scale and use the joystick to scale the layer by twisting it like a knob. Then move the joystick to position the layer until it looks right. Sometimes there are things left in the shot that are not keyed out. You can remove these items from the shot using cropping. On the control surface, select Crop, and pushing the joystick to the right brings in a crop line from the left side moving right. Pushing the joystick to the left takes that same crop line back out to the left. Pulling the joystick down will bring in a crop line from the top and move it towards the bottom. Now to get a crop line to come in from the right, use the button on the top of the joystick and then push the joystick to the left. The button also works to get a crop line to come up from the bottom. Twisting the joystick will crop all sides symmetrically. Once completed, this shot is set up. Now let's bring in Kiki and place her on the right side of the set as we look at it. This is layer B of this set. Apply a live mat to Kiki's shot and select that input on layer B of this ME. You will need to rotate this input 90 degrees. Let's do this from the user interface positioner. Click here to open layer B positioner. Under rotation, click on the 0 for the Z axis and type in 90 and hit enter. This rotates the input correctly, but cuts off the top and bottom of the shot. Now, scale the shot down until you can see the head and the feet. Don't scale it too far. Try to get it so it fits just perfectly. Once scaled, you can position it. Move her feet to the floor. Notice you can push through the floor. Play with this until you get it so her feet are resting just on the floor. You can set up an effect preset to zoom in on that side of the set to get a closer look. You may also need to crop this shot to remove edges of the key if necessary. Sometimes these edges are only visible during a camera move. Since this is a horizontal shot, left, right, and top and bottom crops are reversed. If you crop in from the left, it comes down from the top, and so on. Use top and bottom crops to remove edges from the sides. Close the positioner. Now, go back to the wide shot or Effect Preset 1. Now let's bring in Rex. He will come in on layer C. The same process is used for Rex that was used on Kiki. Layer C, set Rex's green screen shot, then scale, position, and crop the layer. Remember, you can set up an effect preset to zoom in on that side of the stage to get a closer look during setup. Once you are happy with the look, go back to the wide shot, Effect Preset 1. You now have a huge set with 3 people from different cameras all interacting with each other. Now this set comes with a lot of different angles to choose from. Let's take a look at the close-up shots on the left and right side of the set. Right now, you have a basic keyed shot with a graphic in ME1, a center shot of a demo studio in ME2, a right shot of the demo studio in ME3, and a center shot for the Metro set in ME4. You can see how each ME has its own effect and can use any channel from the switcher within that effect. What if you want to move a set from one ME to another? No problem using the ME presets. Each ME has 4 presets available on the left side of the ME bus rows. Each preset is like a new ME, allowing you to have 4 different setups instantly accessible for each ME. Click on preset number 2 for ME4. What was in the first preset is duplicated and placed in the second preset. Now you are in preset 2 and everything can be changed. Let's load up a new effect. Go to the effect name and click on the plus sign. Load the offset left live set. This is a double box effect. Now position layers A and B to fit the effect using the positioners at the ends of the layers here, or by selecting the correct ME delegate and selecting the right layer in the positioner to adjust using the joystick. Now you can click on the 2 presets and see the ME configuration completely changes in an instant. You can also export and import presets, and this is a technique to move the set from one ME to another. Go back to preset 1. This is the Metropolis set. Right-click on the preset and choose Rename. Call it Metro Center. Now, when you mouse over the preset, the name becomes visible. Right-click on the preset again and choose Export. Call it Metro Center and click Save. Now, go to ME1 on Preview and Program. This will bring up the ME1 Setup tab. Go to Preset 1 of ME1 and right-click and choose Import. Select the Metro Set preset. Now you have replaced the key effect with the Metro Set preset 1 of ME1. Presets can even be moved from one machine to another as long as all of the content on the new machine is in the same directory structure. These presets also exist for all of the media players and the audio mixer. Custom presets are saved to the system drive and can be lost if the C drive is lost or corrupt. Make sure to export important presets to a media drive or perform a system backup of the C drive after custom content has been added. Let's set up ME2 as another shot for the Metropolis set. Bring up ME2 on Preview and Program. Go to Preset 2 of ME2. Load up Metropolis A, right standing. Use a full screen standing shot of Kiki as the talent source if using a DDR. We will use the live horizontal shot of Kiki. This must be rotated and scaled as it was in the center shot. Open the positioner on layer A, rotate 90 degrees on Z, scale to fit. Set Kiki's feet down on the floor and put her to the left of the virtual monitor. Again, using the ME presets, see how you can change the effect in the ME. Leave preset 2 with the Metropolis set selected. Set layer B to graphics 1 for the onset virtual monitor and set layer C to DDR2 for the ticker graphics in the background. Let's set up ME3 with another Metropolis set angle. Put ME3 on Preview and Program. On the control surface, delegate ME3. Go to preset 2 of ME3. Load up Metropolis A, right, rear. Use a full standing shot of Rex for the source if you're using the DDR for the talent. We will use the horizontal shot of Rex coming in as a live source. Again, we will need to rotate, scale, and position layer A of ME3. Set Rex up to the right of the on-screen monitor like this. Put graphic 1 on layer B for the onset monitor and set layer C to DDR2 for the ticker graphics in the background. Now put ME2 on Program and ME3 on Preview. You can now transition between these two inputs, showing close-ups of the talent on the far left and right side of the wide shot set in ME1. Now you have two different angles of the same set, each with on-screen monitors. You might want to be able to keep the content on those monitors consistent between the shots. This can be done by using another ME as a sub-mixer to feed those on-screen monitors. Let's set up a sub-mixer. Put ME6 up on Preview and Program. Leave this ME set up as a mix, not as an effect. Now this is just a two-layer mixer, just like the main switcher. Let's set up some sources for this mixer. In Graphics 1, load up some stills. Use a preset to keep them in their own bin. Now go to Graphics Player 2. Go to a new preset and load up some different stills. Set up ME6 to have Graphics 1 on A and Graphics 2 on B. Load up a transition for ME6. Mouse over the fade icon and click on it. This reveals the current effect presets or transitions available for that mixer. This is no longer the effects presets. It is now the transition presets. Mouse over any preset except fade and click on the plus to launch the browser. This will allow you to load any transition into this preset in the mixer. This can be done for all of the effect presets except fade. Load up the page peel from the Animation Store Transitions broadcast area. The page peel loads into the preset. Now it is available from preset 2. Hit Auto for the mixer on ME6. You see the page peel. Now you can send this output of this ME to another ME. Bring up ME3 on Preview and Program. Set layer B to ME6. This puts the output of the mixer in ME6 on the on-screen monitor. Put ME2 on Preview and Program. Set its layer B also to ME6. Now put ME3 on Program. Now both on-screen monitors show the same content as they are both being fed the output of the same ME. Delegate ME6 on the control surface. Hit Auto for the mixer on ME6. You can see the page peel in both ME2 and 3 at the same time. There are 9 frame buffers available for use to hold stills and templates and not use any space in the media players. Let's load some graphics into Graphics 2 into an empty preset. Load the NewTek logo with transparency and High-Tech 005 title template. Remove any text from the template as it is only used as a sidebar graphic. To set High-Tech 005 as ME1 buffer, right-click on it and select Send to ME1 buffer and the NewTek logo as ME2 buffer. Once loaded, the original graphics can be removed from the graphics player, and this does not affect what is in the buffer. Set the Graphics 2 player back to the preset with the images we loaded earlier. Each ME has 4 keyers attached to it. Set up ME6 keyer 1 to use ME1 buffer as its source, and keyer 2 to use ME2 buffer as its source. This is done by using the pull-down menus for each keyer found here. Now, using keyers 1 and 2 of ME6, we'll produce overlay graphics on the on-screen monitors in ME2 and ME3. You can also pick transitions for the keyers and load them in the same way you loaded the transitions for the mixer. Open the keyers transition preset area, mouse over the transition that you wish to change, and click on the plus in the upper right corner. Trajectories work well for hiding and revealing graphics, but you can use whatever you like. Clicking away to the tab for ME2 in the user interface does not change what tab is being controlled by the control surface. Only the ME delegates on the control surface can do that. Using the control surface allows you to control the mixer in ME6 without having its tab open. Delegating the T-bar works the same way here as it does in the main switcher. Whatever buttons are selected above is what the T-bar will affect. Multiple delegates are possible using the control key while selecting them. This can all also be delegated or independently controlled directly from the control surface. Multiple delegations on the control surface are also possible by holding down a button while selecting other buttons. Now you have 3 effects set up in ME1, 2, and 3. Let's go on to ME4. Put it on Preview and Program. On the CS, delegate ME4. Go to Preset 1. Let's replace this effect with a triple box effect with a motion background. Load the Helix 3 High Across effect. Now use the 3 different effects to fill up these layers. Layer A is ME3, Layer B is ME1, and Layer C is ME2. Then use the positioners on these layers to zoom in on the talent. If you set Layer D to an unused network input, it will show the default still image background. To replace this, choose any input as Layer D for the background. Let's use a clip in the DDR. Adding a motion graphic to this effect completes the network style look. The use of motion graphics is covered later in this training series. There are other effects available from some of the utilities that allow you to see the alpha channel and other useful effects. Make sure to check them out and use what's available. There is another effect that is quite unique to the TriCaster, and I can't wait to see how people are going to use this in live production. It's called the tracker, and it allows you to do some visual magic. Let's set it up. It requires 2 MEs for the complete effect that I'm about to show you, but it can be used in many ways. Let's start out by setting up the track in ME7. Put ME7 on Preview and Program, and delegate it on the control surface. Set ME7 to an effect. Load the Advanced Tracker effect. This is a 3-layer effect. Layer A is the video to be tracked. We will use a clip of Kiki on a green screen played back from a DDR. Go to DDR1 and load the Kiki track rectangle clip. Play and loop it. Turn off Live Mat on the DDR if it is active. Put DDR1 in as the source for Layer A. Go to DDR2 and select the balloon clip. Hit play and loop. Now you want to track the card that Kiki's holding. This is tracking on color like a keyer, and the same tactics apply for getting a good key. When setting this up, I find it easier to work with a bigger preview. Mouse over the preview window and right-click, then select Media Player DDR1. The label at the bottom of the monitor changes to show me DDR1 is now that window. When you mouse over the window, DDR controls become active. The gear will get you to the configuration panel for DDR1. This is the same control panel you would reach by clicking on the gear in the smaller DDR1 monitor in the multi-viewer. You could also just double-click on the monitor itself. Go to the Tracker tab in the configuration panel. Left-click on the eyedropper and hold the mouse button down. Now, drag over the color on the card that Kiki is holding. The color on the card is selected. Adjust the tolerance and smoothing just like you would when you're pulling a key. It will cut a clean hole through layer A and show what's happening in layer B beneath it. To see the tracking information, right-click on DDR1 preview monitor and select Overlay, Tracking Markers. Now you can see a yellow outline. This is the tracking info. Put DDR2 as the source on layer B. You now see the balloon video through the hole in layer A, but it's not tracking yet. Go to the positioner for layer B. At the bottom is a selection to follow the tracker. The track information is being generated by the source. So, set it to follow the tracker from source DDR1, as this is where the tracker is applied. The tracker is active when the light is on. The tracker can be turned on and off with this control as well. Sometimes you get black edges that creep in when rotation happens. You can deal with this by scaling the tracked image up slightly. Notice, you can scale it up and down. Make it slightly larger than the frame and the edges won't show up anymore. If you turn on Live Matte for DDR1, you will see the track is now composited over layer C. Set layer C to Graphics 1. But if you want to put this talent with the tracked card into a virtual set, you can do that too. Make sure that Live Matte is turned off on DDR1 for your source. Go to ME8 on Preview and Program and delegate it on the control surface. Make ME8 an effect and load the Nightly Show A Right set. Layer A is ME7 with the tracked talent. All other layers are set to black. To remove the green screen from around the talent, you need to key it at the ME, not at the source. Mouse over the large DDR1 monitor that's in the preview monitor area and right-click. Select Mix Effects 7. The window is now labeled ME7. Double-click on the window to open its configuration panel. Go to the Live Matte tab and set up a key as you would on any source. This removes the green background and delivers the desired effect. In order for this effect to work, you must apply the key at the ME used as the source, not at the input. The tracking info could also be applied to other things. Go back to ME7 on Preview and Program and delegate it on the control surface. On the user interface, set up Keyer 2 to use frame buffer number 2 as its source. This should be the NewTek logo. Open its positioner. Set it to follow the track on DDR1. Close the positioner. Hit the Auto on the keyer. Now open the positioner and you can scale and position the graphic. This can also be done from the CS. With ME7 delegated, select Keyer 2 in the positioner area. With position and scale selected, use the joystick to scale and position the tracking graphic. This could be done up to 4 times with the 4 keyers, but could also be done with the downstream keyers. Now put Emmy 8 on Program and Preview. Now use the camera presets to zoom in on Kiki. Now you can zoom in and out while the track happens live. Delegate Emmy 7 on the control surface. Use the keyer controls on the control surface to transition keyer 2 on and off the screen. You can also set up a transition for keyer 2 in Emmy 7 to enhance the effect.